Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Easy Markets Daily Picture International with me, Darius. Today's the 19th of September, 2023. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Look, I'll disappear here for a little bit. I'll try to fix my lights here, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I think there's a little bit of a problem with my lights here. I think that, yeah, way too bright. Way too bright and way too dark at the same time. So, okay, let me just see if I can do something here. Right, okay. Maybe that's a little bit better. Right, now then, guys, good morning. Good morning to everybody who's tuning in right now. I hope you're all having a wonderful start of Tuesday. So, before we go further, as always, we would normally look at the technicals here, the fundamentals. But yeah, before we go further, as always, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us. Now, let's see what we can do here with the chart. So the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei 225. So Nikkei 225, beautiful continuation to trade and trading below the downside line, if I can express myself even more nicely here. So yes, we continue to trade below this downside line. So Japan was back into action this morning. They were closed yesterday, so yeah, they're back into action this morning. But as you can see here, yes, it kind of remains subdued a little bit here. And what's interesting here is that it continues to trade somehow above this 33,043 territory, but I think that I need to adjust that. I think that this level no longer is needed. I think that it's much better to kind of keep an eye just on that 33,000 mark itself, because that one continues to provide support, but at the same time the downside line is also doing a good job and keeping the bulls in kind of tamed, if I can say it this way. So long story short, if you're looking for some lower levels here on Nikkei 225, I believe that maybe the drop below the 33,000 mark is required, and then yes, we could take it from there. For the upside, as I said before, I need to see that push back above this downside line, and then yep, more buyers could join in. Jumping into China 50, so nothing exciting, to be honest here. The same game plan, the same rules apply for me at the moment. Just keeping a close eye on this. Keeping a close eye on these two trend lines, and waiting for them to kind of do something here, and then we could maybe go from there. But I need to see a clearance of those. I need to see a breakthrough one of these trend lines in order to consider the next short term, at least, directional move. Just bear with me one moment. I want to fix my lights a little bit here. Maybe this way. That's the thing. That too much a little bit? Oh, yeah, I'm on fire here. Okay. Just a sec. So, okay, it's not perfect, but it might just do. So, okay, look. Anyway, as long as you can see me, I think that's fine. I have a little bit of a shadow here on my left, but I don't know how to fix that. Maybe this way. No, that's even worse, actually. So I think, yeah, I'll have to just stick to what I have here. Okay, that's absolutely fine, I think. Maybe this way could do it. Anyway, I hope just you're not gonna get blinded by my bald head, you know, by the from the reflection from my bald head. But anyway, try to wear sunglasses. But look, the same, like I said, with China 50, the same game plan remains, and I think that all the markets are waiting for tomorrow's news. I mean, there's not much happening so far today. I think tomorrow, yes, China, in the morning, early hours of the European morning, and during the Asian session, China will be releasing its PBOC loan prime rate. So that's something that to consider and to keep an eye on, because, well, to be honest, that's something of a bit of a concern, because as we know, currently China is battling deflation in a way. And yes, I mean, I think that they can need to kind of lower their rates again. So unlike Western countries, they go in higher rates because inflation is way too high. China is the one that is could be lowering them further. But again, we'll see how that plays out. For now, at this point, I would say let's keep an eye on it. Let's watch the news and like keep your eyes on the data. And if that comes out, like I said, at the moment the interest rate is expected at 3.45. Well, again, I think that maybe a bit of a decline could be possible. But again, I don't know by how much. I mean, it's not your usual 25 basis points. Maybe it's going to be less. Or or maybe it's going to come out the same as it is. But let's wait and see. Let's not over speculate here. ASX 200. So not much is also happening here. I mean, the same analysis is valid. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but as we know, this morning we received the RBA meeting minutes. I mean, nothing major. Just it showed that they were considering a rate hike before. Okay, but they will continue monitoring the situation as always, as every central bank. They will continue monitoring the situation. So, I mean, look, yes, they say that their inflation is not where they would like it to be. But again, it's still okay. It's still slightly on the lower side, but still, I mean, they see that the inflation has peaked already, so maybe they will continue monitoring and blah blah blah. They will see if it's gonna crawl up a little bit again. They will jump in, and with the rate hikes, honestly, like probably the same speech as Powell is gonna deliver today, and the same speech as we had last week from the ECB. So. Generally, I mean, like almost, but yeah. At the moment, like I said, I'm waiting for a clearance here through one of these trend lines in order to consider the next short-term directional move. Before I go into Dow Jones, good morning, everyone in the chat room. Good morning, everyone, guys. I hope you're all having a wonderful start of Tuesday. So Dow Jones Industrial Average. Yesterday we saw a bit of a decline. However, I think that initially it was declining, but then the index managed to remain in kind of flat, not negative territory, and slightly in positive territory, but I would call it actually flat. And all of them were Dow, Nasdaq, S&P. I mean, all of them were flat. So maybe not the most exciting day, but to be honest, you understand why. You understand why, because it's we have the Fed coming out on Wednesday, so that's why it's at this point I think is just something to continue monitoring. Maybe it might be the same today. The only thing is that today we have a little bit of more, a bit more data coming out. So we do have the U.S. Building permits and housing starts coming out. So, and also Canada's CPI figures. So, but that one is for USD-CAD mostly, or CAD pairs. But I'll jump into those a little bit later. But at the moment, like I said, looking at this picture here, as I said to you before, maybe this is a nice, upside support line that we could consider, or maybe this is also something like a rising wedge pattern here, which we could also consider. So at the moment, I would say if we continue to trade above this 50-day EMA, then yes, there is a good chance for this one to rebound and push back up. But we have this upside line drawn from the low of the 25th of August. So in a way, as long as we stay above this 50-day EMA, then yes, or this upside line right here, which could be also the lower side of the rising wedge pattern, we could still continue seeing some moves higher. But as I said to you before, the rising wedge is a bearish indication. But before we can class that as a bearish indication, a confirmation break is required. So until then, we cannot really do anything here. The S&P 500. So looking at the picture here, we see a hold up near this 50-day EMA. So for now, yeah, the same story basically. We are still sticking kind of to the upside, but probably I'll get more comfortable with the upside if we do push the 4,542. Look, I'm talking about these indices vaguely today just because we don't have like very important data coming out today. Yes, we do have some data, but not the most important one. But I think that all eyes are going to be on on Wednesday, and don't be surprised if we're going to be just sitting flat like this and not doing anything up all the way up until the Fed. So yes, that's my game plan for the S&P 500. Nasdaq also is near the lower side of, well, this is what I said to you yesterday. It's either a rising wedge or maybe it's a rising channel. Both ideas are tentative. Neither of them are like, for sure. And in general, nothing is for sure. So, but if we start breaking this this trend line, this upside support line drawn from the low of the 18th of August, and we fall below the 50-day EMA and stay below that, then yes, this increases the chances for a further decline. A drop below the 15,223 territory could be nice here, and potentially could open the door towards the 100-day EMA or even below that. The German index, DAX, yes, we are watching the CPIs coming out today, the Eurozone CPIs. So those are expected to come out, well, the headline CPI is expected to come out at 5.3, the same as previous, and the core CPI is expected to come out at 5.3, but that's lower than the previous, because the previous was at 5.5. Look, let's see, because again, last week we saw ECB raising rates by a little bit. So let's see if their kind of method was correct, because if inflation comes out higher, then they will say, you know what, look, you see, this is what we, that's why we're here, that's why we're doing this job, Whereas if the inflation number comes out lower, then maybe the critics will start saying that, oh, you've raised rates too early, and maybe you shouldn't have done that. You'll damage the economy and blah blah blah. So you never win, right? So at the moment, I would say this way, that let's just keep an eye on it from the technical perspective, looking at the DAX and the futures here. As long as we stay below this 15,883 territory and below that 100-day EMA, then yes, I'll continue targeting the downside. For the upside, I would like to see a push back above this downside line, and also a push above that psychological 16,000 territory, or even the 16,100 zone, and then we could take it from there. The FTSE 100, beautiful retracement. I talked about this yesterday, and I said to you that as long as we stay above that 7,700 zone, somewhere above that, then yes, I will continue targeting the upside, because this little throwback could be classed as a little temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. However, if we drop and stay below that territory, then yes, there is a good chance for this one to drift lower towards the 7,611 zone right here, or maybe even larger. We could see a larger correction to the downside towards this upside line drawn from the low of the 18th of August. So just keep an eye on that one, guys. US dollar, yes, continues to correct lower. That's absolutely fine. But then look, I mean, we could still test this upside line. We could, see a nice, good, beautiful test. If it holds a rebound here, it could be possible. We could go back up, maybe initially aiming for the where's my level? Let me just grab it. Maybe we could aim initially for this one. Yep, for the 105.44. And if that gets clear, the forthcoming higher high will be confirmed, potentially attracting more buyers into the game. In terms of the downside, I would say a drop below the 104.39 zone is needed in order to consider some lower levels. Now, jumping into gold. Okay, look, we climbed higher and we tested this downside line. Now, my question is, can we see a break of this downside line, or actually will we correct lower, or will we stay somewhere around here and basically kind of wait for the Fed to come out, and then we'll make the move. Maybe we'll get that breakout here to the upside. So who knows? Let's see. At the moment, I would say I'm watching this one. We might see a drift back down, maybe a retest of this 50-day EMA right here. But then we might stay here for a little while. We might start oscillating here all the way until we see the Fed coming out with its interest rate decision, and of course then the press conference, which will follow after about half an hour after, I think. Yeah. That's the game plan here for gold from the shorter term perspective. Now listen, this is the interesting bit. From the shorter term perspective, while we remain in between these two trend lines, I would say it's quite a lot of territory right here to consider. So maybe, just maybe, we could see and keep an eye on this little area, this 1922. But I think that yeah. Look, just bear with me one moment. So actually, you know what? 1924, maybe 25, roughly around there, could be that little level to watch. So if you're looking for some lower levels, maybe inside this triangle, or in between these two trend lines. So maybe a drop below this territory might do the trick for a few more sellers, and this could open the door towards that 200-day initially, and then we'll take it from there, because maybe this is just gonna travel here somewhere, stop and then reverse and push back up again. But of course, everything, I will scrap this whole downside scenario if we do pop and stay above this downside line right here, which is drawn from the high of the 3rd of May of this year. Silver. After we had that beautiful retracement here, beautiful rebound, so now we're getting hold up near this or slightly below this 200-day EMA. Look, in order for me to go higher, as I said to you before, within this descending triangle pattern, or maybe it's not a descending triangle pattern, maybe it's just a triangle pattern. In order for me to go, let's say higher or lower here. So for higher, I need to see a push back above all of the EMAs, and then I'll consider a move towards this downside line drawn from the high of the 4th of May. For the downside, I would like to see, well, this is where my preferred level is, the 22.74 zone, but I will probably start looking at some lower levels if we do drop below the 22.95 zone, and then we'll take it from there. So jumping into oil, so finally there is a little bit of a doji happening, so that means maybe a bit of a retracement could be possible here, so let's wait and see, of course. But again, I'm not rushing into anything. I would say this way, that as long as we continue to trade above this little short-term tentative upside support line drawn from the low of the 5th of September, then yes, there is a good chance for a rebound and a push higher, push back to the upside. For the downside, I need to see a drop below the 90.100 level right here, and then we could take it from there. So yep, long story short, for now, I am just keeping a close eye on this. And if we do, like I said, if we do break below this upside line, then yes, I'll get a little bit more excited with the downside. Jumping into wheat. So I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, as you can see here. I mean, after we kind of violated my lower side of the range, we are now flirting with this 573 territory, so that's fine, that's okay. But my question is, will we actually go lower? To be honest, at this point, I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards the downside, but I need that confirmation break first. I need to see a drop below that 573 territory in order to go to the downside towards the 533 territory, or even towards the area right here, which is the lowest point of August of 2020, near the 488 zone. So, yep, at the moment, I would say it is quite interesting. It looks a little bit more bearish than bullish, but I need that confirmation. Let me just grab this one. I need that confirmation break below this territory right here first, and then I'll get more comfortable with the downside. Cocoa. So yeah, something that I haven't looked at recently, but there we go. We're seeing a bit of a nice retracement here, a nice decline. This decline, according to the news, that this decline came out, it happened because of the risk-off environment right now. Because again, like indices are declining a little bit. We're seeing some movement to the downside. So at the moment, I would say that if you're looking for some lower levels, then yes, there is a good chance for seeing that. But I think that if we do drop below and stay below the 3,600 level, if that happens, then yes, we could consider a move towards the 50-day EMA or even the 100-day EMA. And then we'll take it from there. If you want to consider some higher levels, a push above the current highest point of this year, and is it the current highest point of this year? If we do pop above it, the 3,763, then yes, potentially this could attract more buying interest, and we could go from here. Let's jump into a few cryptos very quickly. Bitcoin Cash, I spoke about this yesterday. Just wanted to give you a quick update. So yesterday we had a nice push higher, but we struggled with the 225 zone. So as you can see, this barrier is providing fantastic resistance so far. Where's my rectangle? There we go. So this barrier is providing good resistance so far. So at the moment, I would say while we remain below it, I'm just cautiously bullish. But if we clear that, then great. That would confirm a forthcoming higher high, potentially attracting more buyers into the game. For the downside, I need to see a break of this upside line drawn from the low of the 10th of June. Ethereum, similar story. This one's holding below this downside line still, but above the 1620 level right here. So yeah, that's talk about boring. However, maybe for some it's not boring. Maybe somebody sees that as a little squeeze here, and waiting for that clearance. So, but I think, you know what? I think I need to adjust something here. I think I need to. This level here, the 1620, yes, I still like it, but I'm starting to like this one right here, the 1601, or in general the 1600 level. So if that gets cleared, guys, well, potentially it could attract more sellers into the game. For the upside, I need to see a break of this. I need to see a break of this downside line, and then yes, I'll go to the upside. Litecoin. So Litecoin is a little bit more bullish than bearish, and we're seeing that nice clearance of this downside line, which is great. As long as we continue to trade above it, then yes, I will aim for that 50-day EMA, and then maybe we'll take it from there. Actually, you know what? I need to lower my ambitions here a little bit, and I need to just aim for that one instead. So that's a good area of resistance right here, so I don't want to overdo it. So this area of resistance is near that 71 zone, around that level, and then yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. Now let's jump into a few pairs, AUD, USD. So I talked about this one yesterday. Look, I said to you that if we continue to trade, given that we have pushed back above this upside line, which, don't get me wrong, it's a very, very tentative line, but somehow so far it's doing a good job and providing good support. So if we continue to trade above this upside line, then yes, I will consider a larger correction to the upside, because we don't forget that we're still trading below this downside line drawn from the high of the 14th of July. If that happens, if we get that test here, then it's going to be interesting to see if we can break it or not. But at this point, let's keep it short and simple. I'm aiming, as I said, I'm aiming for this downside line here. My next target is the 0.6488 zone, and then we'll take it from there. For the downside, yes, as I said before, a drop below this upside line here, taken from the low of the 17th of August, is required for me in order to consider a move lower towards the lower side of the range where we're currently stuck in. AUDNZD, I haven't looked at this for quite a while, but I want to look at it because it's one of my favorite ones. But I have to admit, adjustments are needed. Adjustments are needed because, look, this upside line, no longer needed. Yep, this here is a little bit of a mess. I need to extend my range here because we're currently in a range still. We tested the upper side lately, or I should say on Friday last week. We tested the upper side of that range, so that's good. Good result here, because I kind of was aiming for this on a break of this 1.0879. I said that I'm going to aim for the upper side, so we got that. But it was a messy trade, to be honest. That's why I'm not really super happy with this one, but I'll take it. Now what's next? Now, a few levels have to be adjusted here. I think that this needs to be marked. This needs to be marked. So if you're looking for some higher levels, then, well, I would say this way, that a break through the upper side of the range is required. Now, in terms of the downside, I would say maybe a push below this upside line here. There we go. Below this upside line could do the trick for a few more sellers. We could see a drop here. I mean, below the EMAs, potentially this way attracting more sellers into the game if we do fall back below all of my EMAs here on the daily chart. And at the same time, we would break this upside line. So long story short, for the upside, there is still a good chance to move higher towards the upper side of the range, because we are still trading above this upside line and above the all the EMAs here on my daily chart. For the downside, a break of this is required in order to go lower. CAD CHF. So yeah, one of our viewers requested yesterday CAD CHF, so I'm just gonna pick up on that one again just to show you what's happening here. So far so good. Look, I talked about this. I said to you that as long as we stay above this 0.6609 zone, I'm going to target my 200-day EMA, or at least the area close to that, because here we targeted the 200-day EMA as well, but it came very close and then reversed back down. So that's why I don't want to rush into anything here. Yes, I'm going to aim higher, but if you see this one stalling somewhere close to the 200-day EMA, then yes, maybe a bit of a retracement here back down could be possible. So just keep an eye on that one. Look, at this point right now, of course, all eyes are also on oil, because if this one starts reversing heavily to the downside, we might see CAD CHF also drifting nicely back down. USDCHF, still the barrier is doing a good job. As you can see here, this 147.87. I think that something is cooking here, and I think that something could be quite nice. Either is going to be a nice pop here to the upside towards that 148.85 level, or maybe we could see a drop lower. However, as I said to you before, that Still, I will consider some higher levels if we do remain above the 146.56 territory. If we do fall below it, yep, I'll consider a larger move to the downside. USDCAD, so we are breaking the hurdle here. So yes, interesting. So we're breaking the hurdle. We're breaking that 50-day EMA and the 1.35 zone. As long as we continue to trade below it, yes, my next target is the 100-day EMA and then the 200-day EMA. The 100-day EMA is roughly around that 1.3450. The 200-day EMA, the 1.3424, approximately around here at the moment. It might change. Now, US dollar against the Mexican peso. This one we're seeing a bit of a rebound, so that's fine. But I said to you yesterday that in order for me to go lower, I need to see a drop now below that 17 zone. If I get that, great, I'll go lower. But given that we came closer to the 17 zone and we rebounded, so that's fine as well. But look, even with the upside here, if you want to consider the upside, a push above the 17.40 zone is required for me at least, in order to get a little bit more excited with the upside. GBPCHF. Oh, by the way, I'm flying through these instruments very quickly. But to be honest, look, the reason why I'm flying through these instruments is just because I think that everybody is just sitting there and waiting for the Fed tomorrow. And like, I mean, yeah, there's some data. It's like, it seems like, oh, there's some data. Yeah, whatever. Like, give me Wednesday. So yes, I mean, at the moment I would say it's like this. I think it's like this. So, but hey, patience is gold. So just be careful, be cautious, and don't overtrade. Have your stop losses in place and risk only what you can afford to lose, especially in weeks like these, like this actually. GBPCHF. I'm still waiting for my clearance here. I got my clearance yesterday, by the way, but it was a false breakout, so no good. Nope. That's no good for me, as it goes in that song. But once we start clearing this and we stay below it, then yes, that's from where I'm going to get more excited with the downside, and then I'll aim for these 1.1060, 57 territory or something like that. For the upside, I would like to see a push above this territory right there. So above that downside line drawn from the high of the 21st of August. If I get that, great, I'll go for some higher levels, and then yes, I'll aim for the 50, the 100, and the 200-day EMAs. That's my simplistic approach here for now. That's what I'm going to do. GBP USD. So GBP USD is also in general, the pound traders are going to be watching nothing today. They're going to be watching tomorrow as well, and not the Fed, by the way. In the morning we get the British CPI figures, the British PPI output figures, input output figures. Yep. So car registration. I mean, that might be a nice volatility moment. So just keep your eyes on that, and wait for something to happen first. I mean, wait for the news to happen and then do something about it. So at this point, look, I'm just observing the price action. I'm still leaning towards the downside, as I said to you before. My next target is the 1.2308, and then we'll take it from there. But drop below the 1.2368 territory is required here. Euro CHF, still in a range, still in this beautiful range. We're in a range which is in the smaller range within a bigger range. So we're in a smaller range within a bigger range. So we're now near the upper bound of this smaller range. So let's see if we can clear the upper bound of the smaller range in order to go to the upper bound of the bigger range. So yeah. At the moment, that's my game plan, honestly. It's the same as yesterday. And for the downside, a drop below the lower side of this this range. Actually, doesn't matter, smaller, bigger, both coincide. I mean, this is the same for both of those. So, EURJPY. So there we go. We popped above this downside line. Honestly, I don't really like this pair, but anyway. It popped above this downside line. Okay, it finally did something that I wanted it to do. Normally, it doesn't do that, but okay. So we broke the downside line. and we remained above it. So look, my next target is the 200-day EMA. Here I'm waiting for, I want to see if we're going to stall here or not. If we stall, then maybe a bit of a retracement could be possible, but then we'll just have to see if we can actually rebound from this. If we can drift back down, test the downside line, and then rebound and push back up. But look, I said to you before that that whenever we break a trend line, we kind of tend to test it from the other side. So at this point, I would say if we continue to trade above this downside line, and by the way, we could drift higher, test the 200-day EMA, reverse back down, and start sliding all the way towards the crossroads here. And in a way, whoever entered here on the breakout could be actually missing out because it could be sliding here and all the way towards the crossroads between these two trend lines, and then rebound from here and push higher. Basically, this is ideal especially for EURGBP. It goes higher, you enter on the breakout here, you put your stop loss on a break even, it goes back down, takes you out, drifts lower here a little bit to the downside. A lot of sellers start jumping in somewhere here maybe. They're in profit, then suddenly, boom, it reverses and pushes higher. Beautiful, typical EURGBP. Yeah, just kind of not your best friend, not the trader's best friend. However, if some of you are trading that one successfully, congratulations. I bow down to you, honestly. This pair is, I still look at it, don't get me wrong, I still look at it, but yeah. Euro Aussie, there we go. Beautiful correction to the upside. Everything's still fine. I am watching this little zone right here. So yes, if we continue to trade below this 1.6650 territory, then yes, another decline here could be possible. Yep, if we continue to trade, yeah, as I said, below this hurdle, I'm leaning towards the downside because for me, this formation here could be seen something as a bearish flag. We have our pole, we have our little correction within the body of the pole. So and yeah, like I said, this looks more like a bearish indication. So in terms of the upside on this one, well, this is where I think I will redraw this downside upside line and create from it a downside one. So something like this. Let me just actually put this one. There we go. So something like this. I think this is a little bit more reasonable. So if you're looking for some higher levels, I think that a break of this downside line is required. I'm just out of curiosity. I just want to see if this is actually going to be... okay. Yeah, something like that. So something like a falling channel right now. So we're within the falling channel. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So look, but still, either way, if you're looking for some higher levels, a break of the upper side of the falling channel is needed. And finally, EURUSD. EURUSD climbed higher yesterday and managed to stay kind of ish above the 1.0686. But to be honest, I really don't like what's happening here. I mean, it's starting to oscillate around my level here, the 1.0686. So I think that it's time to get rid of it and maybe mark something else, like for example this one, the 1.0706. But because look, if this is starting to fail, let's say this level is starting to fail, I need to go search for something else. And at the moment, the most logical for me is something around here, near the 1.0706. So keeping a close eye on it. Yes, if we somehow do this and like can hold below it, then yes, another maybe decline here could be possible. For the upside, I need to see a break of this downside line drawn from the high of the 18th of July. If I get that clearance, then yes, great, more buyers could join in, and we could aim for that 1.0766 or this 200-day EMA, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. So long story short, for now, that's my game plan. Like I said, I'm leaning actually nowhere for now. I mean, on the other hand, some of you might say, but hey, maybe this is also a bearish flag. Yes, could be the case, but if that's the case, then a drop below the 1.0635 level for me is required in order to go, in order to consider a move to the downside, because the forthcoming lower low will be confirmed. Rafazo, how are you going to play Euro until the Fed? Until the Fed, nothing. Honestly, Rafazo, in general, when days like these come out, I'm just kind of, look, you can scalp, for example, you can, let's say, you can enter a trade and then, for example, allow it to run in profit, put quickly, your stop loss on a break even, allow it to run. But then the problem is that whenever it's like before the Fed, it could be a roller coaster ride because it's undecisive. Like nobody's undecided what to do. Everybody's like still at the same level, like what to do. So it could start moving sideways up and down, and that's why you can keep an eye on it. Look, if you're very confident in your position, then okay, you can keep it, but just have your stop losses in place and risk only what you can afford to lose. But if you're not really comfortable, like me, for example, at this point, I normally look at stuff and I'm a little bit more, comfortable with this and that. But at this point, no, I'm not really trusting anything else apart from the Fed this week. I mean, maybe we'll get the retail sales as well, something to keep in mind. By the way, when's that? Friday, I think. Let me just double check. And the Philly Fed, which is on Thursday, actually, as well. But yeah, retail sales, US retail sales, is that coming out? Or am I confusing with something here? Yeah, I think I'm confusing here with something. Not the retail sales, the Philly Fed. Retail sales are coming out on Wednesday, I think. Yeah, then let me just double check very quickly. Wednesday, US crude oil inventories. No, there's no retail sales. Why am I confusing this? Honestly, ignore me. Ignore the retail sales, what I just said, because I think I'm getting confused with something. Okay, exactly. Then in that case, for me, that's the Fed, the only thing. Maybe, like I said, crude oil inventories. I don't know. Maybe the Philly Fed could do something as well on Thursday. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. We do have some preliminary figures, PMI figures coming out from the US as well, but I don't know. We'll see how those play out. But actually, like I said, for me, like I said, the Fed is the one that I'm watching right now, and I think that everybody else will be doing that. So just kind of, I think it will be before the Fed, it will be just up and down. So you rather wait and only trade it after the news. Well, look, it's really subjective. Everything what I'm saying here is really subjective because this is what I would do, right? I mean, but again, maybe you see an opportunity. I don't want to take away an opportunity for you if you see one. So, like, if you see an opportunity, you can go for it. Just remember that if you're entering a trade, just don't forget about the fact that it could quickly reverse. Because again, the market is undecided. This is what I'm trying to pass on, because I'm not saying not to trade. No, you can trade whatever you want. You can, if you see an opportunity, you can do it. Just don't forget that, for example, if you enter a trade, you're running it like, you're in profit, great, and then suddenly it reverses sharply back up, don't be surprised because the market is undecided right now. So it's like they're waiting, everybody's waiting for the guidance and just kind of, what to do next. And that's the reason, that's the whole point that I'm saying why, I'm being a little bit cautious with trades before the Fed. So, but it's up to you. It's up to you. You know yourselves better. What do I know, honestly? Like, you have your opinions, your strategies, which work for you probably. So, don't kind of try not to kind of listen to other people too much. If something is working for you, continue doing it. You can listen to people like me or somebody else out there and listen to, just maybe grab an idea or something like that, or maybe like let's say, look, I went through a list of instruments here, right? Maybe all of them you didn't need them, but maybe there was one phrase, 2 words that actually you're thinking, oh, you know what, damn, I forgot to think about that one. That's the whole point of these webinars, so that from everything you would actually pick up that one bit of, or 1 or 2 bits of information, and apply it to your strategy, which you already kind of have, and and it's working for you perfectly. Or maybe you can think of something else as well. Like I said, that's what I do as well. Nobody knows what exactly is going to happen. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to have a logical approach to certain things, but certainly, as we know, in the market, not everything is always logical. So when somebody tells you that this is what's going to happen for sure, guaranteed, I wish I could have that crystal ball as well. So, but I don't have one. So yeah, guys, look, Rafazzo, I don't know if it's answering the question, but that's just my take. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your views, for your comments, for your, not likes, but rocket ships in there. Thank you very much for that. I really hope you found this useful. As always, I say the same thing. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Have your stop losses in place. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. So, have a beautiful trading day today, guys. Stay safe. Rafazzo, you're welcome. Have a wonderful, like I said, trading day. Stay safe. Have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. So, I'll see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye. Hey there, thank you very much for watching this one till the end. I really appreciate that. So, like this video, we speculate your next mouse movement will be towards the subscribe button.